the old people anymore. I don't care so much about the old people because first of all, they're not having kids anymore, and they're too stuck in their way because they've already done this. If, in other words, I'm irrelevant, but I already know not to do this. What is important is talking to high school students, college students, before you have had to make a decision.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Because once you have done this, you cannot, it's almost impossible to get somebody to admit that what they did was wrong, that they actually abused a child.
It's very hard to do. Yeah.
Hard.
And
obviously it's not impossible. There's that whole group of regret moms, and I think probably regret dads too.
And regret. I consider myself a regret uncle. I knew better when my oldest nephew was born 44 years ago. I didn't know what I know now. Okay, I knew that there was no real reason to do this, and I didn't say anything. When my next nephew was born 5 years later, I again didn't say anything. I consider myself much more guilty than the regret mom or dad who didn't know any better and let it happen. I'm the guilty party. I am the guilty party here.
That's a lot of weight. You shouldn't take that all on your shoulders, man.
And that is one of the reasons why I was standing out there every day at the end of Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I knew better and didn't do better.
Yeah, you were a coward, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was. That is my sin. I don't consider myself an evil person normally. I don't try and hurt people, but I knew better. I did not know 99% of the stuff I know right now about abortion.
Of course.
But I knew enough. I mean, even at that time, I didn't know I was circumcised. I look like I'm not circumcised, but I was. I had complications. And I look like I'm intact. I always thought I was intact. I didn't know anything really about, except that there's no reason to do this. And I didn't say anything. And that's my crime.
Well, I'm gonna take a little load off your shoulders and share some of my stories. My little sister, she promised me that this didn't happen, but I just have this strong memory, and I really have a hard time doubting it. So I really think it happened. I was involved in like all sorts of different like politics and health and all this stuff. So I was like a health activist and a political activist, and I was like a libertarian kind of Ron Paul kind of person, and then like get rid of the Federal Reserve and get out of these wars type of thing. And then my little sister comes to me. She said, before she has her son, and she says, I think it was right after she had her son. She said, "Do you know anything about circumcision? You're always reading a bunch of stuff. Do you know anything about circumcision?" And I was like, "No, but I'll look into it," and I never looked into it. I didn't look into it. And I was too busy, like thinking I'm going to change the world through politics, and I mean, health activism, I think, is a very important activism in itself. There's, you could dedicate a whole life to that as well. But I failed to do 2 seconds of research when the question came to me the first time since I can remember. I remember one other time when something happened as a child that my mother said something that I was cut and other kids were different. That's all I remember, because I think I saw a kid that had a different penis than me and I didn't understand it. So I asked my mother. That was the only earliest memory. And then this, my sister asking me this. And I totally failed my nephew by not taking the 5 seconds, because I know if I would have read it then, I would have saved him. You know what I mean? So I think that sucks. You know what I mean? It's a big burden, but you really have to it's just like you didn't know, and what you don't know, you don't know. Even if you had an inkling, you still didn't know, like now, right? Yeah. You didn't know.
But I knew enough. especially for the
I
second
know,
nephew.
I know. You got
Especially for the second nephew. I knew a hell of a lot more 5 years later when the second nephew came along. And I rationalized not saying anything. He said, oh, well, they're not going to have. I mean, I didn't look like my two older brothers who were circumcised. And it was very odd for me. I was circumcised. I didn't know it because I don't look like I'm circumcised. And it was very odd for me growing up. So I thought, well, they've already circumcised the first kid. So, I'm not going to, say anything for the second kid. But I knew a lot more by that time. Not what I know now, but I knew, this is still 37 years ago, whatever. And, but I still didn't say anything. And, I survived looking intact with two older circumcised brothers. And yet I wouldn't do that for my second nephew, who I am very glad to say did not cut his kid.
Oh yes.
So I mean, but
good on him.
I mean, I apologized to both my nephews many years ago.
That's
and both of them said at the time, oh, well, it's okay. Everybody we grew up with was circumcised. We don't feel like we're damaged or anything like that. But my youngest nephew did think about it, did some research about it. And so when he was having his kid, he had already made it clear this is not happening to him.
Oh, that's
Right on.
So that
good on him.
But I didn't say anything.
I bet you had an influence on his son.
Oh, his son doesn't know. He's 5 years old. He doesn't care.
No, I'm saying like I bet you had an influence on his decision.
Oh yes. But he also read up on it, and he asked other people.
Yeah, but you stimulated that thought in him.
Yeah.
Maybe he hadn't even thought about it. I think this is a very powerful message, because when you have somebody that's pushed into this very, very pressurized situation, right? How do you give them the strength to go against their family? Like after what happened with my nephew, I think that's what solidified it in me. Like I wasn't going to do it again. And when I found out my cousin had her baby, I literally found out on the day of. I literally sat there and texted her for like, I don't know, 2 hours. I sat and wrote this text to her, like wrote out all this stuff and just sent it to her, and literally saved him by the skin of that
Did
text.
you really? Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank
so
you.
great.
And
wow.
yeah, so I guess that's what I don't know. She never even responded to the text. My cousin never said anything to me. She never responded. I was, like, did I wait too long? I failed again. Why didn't I say something sooner? I was waiting for the right moment, and I didn't even know it was coming this fast. And it was just like, my family should have, I'm blaming them, it's just like these emotions, and then my mom, a couple years later, she's like, you know what? He had a diaper change. You saved him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, really. I mean, it's so emotional, but yeah. And then I went to hell and back with my dad's side of the family. My cousins, really, like I went to battle with them. Like I'm just so like, I'm still like somewhat at odds with like this whole position that they've decided to take, this what I consider like a weak, cowardly position, a totally indefensible, cowardly position, because it is really indefensible. Like when you have the opportunity to know, when you've been given the information, you have to take responsibility for it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what this is. All of us are taking responsibility for it. You know what I mean? But that's what it takes to change this stuff, for people to take responsibility for this bullshit and, admit, hey, I didn't do this when I could have. I didn't do that when I could have. Because the person that's, be listening to this, and unfortunately, I'm like really, my mind gets spacey when I'm tired, and I forgot to press record, unfortunately. Dang, I'm sorry, but it's recording now. But anyways, this part right here is important because I'm going to share this because a lot of Intactivists have a lot of pressure to do this, to share, this information. If nothing comes out of this conversation, but this part of the video, and I apologize about that. It's just, I cannot get too tired like this, but I was trying to send that email last night and it just got so late. And then I was trying to start a new program. I just wanted to get that email out this morning at 10 o'clock or be at 10 o'clock in Pennsylvania. Right. So anyways, if you get nothing out of this video, you have to look at where you're going to be in the future. You know, the pressure that you're feeling now to not do anything, to not say anything, to not rock the boat is going to be so much greater later when you're dealing with regret. You know, it's a heavier burden than that moment in time of standing up against them. Like I've almost made it my thing standing up against them now. Like I love them, and when it comes to a lot of other things, like I want to be normal with them, but it's in my mind they're just different a little bit. You almost take a look at them differently because this is so obvious. There's no real question. Like it literally is third grade math and fifth grade biology. It's that simple. Like if you graduate third grade math and you graduate fifth grade biology, you can reason through in your mind to come to the full conclusion of what this really is without any outside, and that's a unique thing. I know it's hard. You got to think of how brainwashed we are. Like even us as people, like it was so obvious. It took me to 36 to even realize it. Like, I mean, and I know part of that is just the silence behind it and just the lack of even, I guess, this even thought about it. Just like there's being a complete void, like this no, it's just a void out there. So I think that even if you feel that pressure, I do have some mimes in my mime library that's designed to congratulations, it's a boy kind of mimes. So maybe go there, grab one of those mimes, share them with your family. If it's not on my website right now, it will be, and I promise that. I've got a few more of those coming, which are pretty fantastic. Their mimes are very, very powerful. I've been using those a lot with my family. I'll just, you don't have to type anything. You just send a picture, right? And it's got an image, and images are powerful. So what I would say is no matter what, take the you don't have to do this huge thing. You don't have to, write out this long thing. Just say, look, why don't you just research this? Just research it. I'll help you. Let me share something with you. Watch this video with me. Have you watched the procedure? Just simple things like that. It doesn't have to be like this whole diatribe, what I mean? Like I do, like I'm going to do, right? I'm going to write out a little thing right here, right? Like on this thing. And then I'm going to put all my reasoning. You don't even need that. You can just say, hey, why don't you just do some research on this? And then when they're doing their research, say, hey, look, it's very rare for people to know Dr. Sorrells. You've got to learn this part of the research and just send it to them, right? And if you don't have that, I'll send it to you. Or even just the image of Dr. Sorrells' study, right, is very powerful. Anyways.
Let's give credit where it's due. Tina was heavily involved in that.
Right.
Oh, and the Sorrells?
Yeah. No, I use Sorrells just because it's, like that's the figurehead behind it. It's almost like that appeal to authority they attach to it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to start calling it the Kimmel study.
No, it's fine. Identified as Sorrells. That's fine.
Right.
That's
no, I'm just teasing.
Published under, So.
But yeah, we got to get credit where credit's due, though. When I found out you were involved in that so heavily, I was like, what? That's one of my favorite things in the whole. I mean, that's literally the coup de grace. Like, I even have this one mime. It's just like, no matter what, this wins all arguments. And it really, literally is the most powerful bit of information. I think that's why, in my opinion, like I've always thought that a very powerful prong in our approach, another potential avenue of just complete focus, if a volunteer wanted to take it over, would just be to go to the scientific community and try to get more research done on this issue to redo the studies. Okay, we have this Sorrells studies kind of ignored, right? We got Jennifer Bosio, this weird conclusion that she has. Why don't we have another study that's just as powerful and that bam puts it right on top and just says, just adds that layer of legitimacy to it. You know what I mean? And I think that would be extremely powerful. But
page from that medical textbook that
right.
What's his name pointed out here. That sounds like it's directly from Sorrells. That's fantastic.
Right? It does sound like it. right?
Yay.
I mean, you probably influenced that article yourself, right? Good job. Good job, Dr. Kimmel.
Yeah, in the medical textbook, boy, can't do better than
Right.
that, I think, on that front.
Well, I mean, even if you think about it, it's like just common sense, right? Like you're literally talking about half the surface area, 3/4 of the nose. It's literally
Exactly.
common sense. Like you literally can't argue. No one's gonna be like, you don't know, no, I really think that literally that half of your penis skin is, completely bland and has no sensation whatsoever, and you can cut it off and there's no difference, And I bet, I mean, look, you have 80% of the world's men who can reach down and debunk that. You know what I mean? They can literally reach down and be like, what? What did you say? Dude, I feel this, bro. I promise you, I feel this. You know what I mean? It's literally that stupid. It's kind of crazy. It's so dumb that, like we have to say, hey, the middle half, it's literally in the middle half, right? If you look at it, it's the middle half. It is, this obviously highly innervated. It's a sense organ. It's like saying your tongue doesn't have taste buds, your eyes don't have rods and cones. It's how ludicrous it really, when fundamentally it is. It's just it's just almost like a lack of logic. It's like lobotomization. Like these doctors went in there and just, I don't know, just did something to their brain where all of a sudden the logic bone just has been disconnected. It's mind-boggling. I
call the foreskin-shaped hole in their brain.
Right.
Like they can be smart about everything else, but you come up to the edge of this area and you just fall in. like all the logic just stops right there.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it's just like almost like a lobotomy. Like it's just crazy. Like there's just like, and that's why I tell people, I'm like, there's 2 points that I like to make. I probably make them too much, is that it's indefensible for a man to say he's fine, that you're generally mutilated and fine. It's like saying, hey, I have an amputated arm, but I'm fine. Well, I mean, I get it. You can live just fine with an amputated arm, and you can have a positive outlook on life and live a fantastic, wonderful life. So can we as cut men. We can live fantastic, wonderful lives. We still have great sex. It's not like, we have to live this horrible life, but we can always compound that. But no matter what you say to yourself, no matter how good you feel, that there's a detriment to this part of your life that's extremely valuable to you. And that's a fact. And that's never going away. And it's never going to change whether you restore or not. It's still not the same, and no matter what, you will never, and this is kind of like, I almost hate saying this because it's such a negative thing, but it's so powerful. And I use certain things because I think they're powerful. And one of them is that, oh damn, what was I going to say? See my brain, it's like, it's 8:30 and I'm just going on like stupid now. Oh no, I had something I was going to say. What was I saying? Give me a reminder. Nobody?
About the sensitivity, the loss of sensitivity from cutting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I really got to get some sleep. I'm going to probably let you guys go soon. But see, there it goes again. Okay, so you will never in your life ever experience what you would have if this hadn't happened to you. Ever. No matter what. No matter if you restore, no matter if you do foraging, no matter what. Because I think
like I said, from the data that I looked at in the pilot project for the Soros study, where they did test in restoring men, they did get the sensitivity back on their glands. So roughly, you get half back of what you lost. I mean, it's really there. It's there. Right. You have it all. It's just underneath that layer of keratin. Just get rid of that, and you have your intact sensation in the glands of your penis now, not in some fantasy land now.
Right.
But it's just that's very powerful. That keratin off, and you can't do that overnight. But it peels like a sunburn within a few weeks.
Wow.
Days of starting restoration. So don't delay. Start right away. You can just cover the glands with saran wrap. That's one way to trick it into losing the keratin layer.
Wow,
that,
that's
you know,
fascinating.
you're not working on the stretching at all, but just that one part of it that you
Right.
might get a big kick out of is one day you peel the saran wrap off and that layer comes off like of sunburn, you know, skin peeling
Really?
off after a sunburn, and boop, there it is, sensitive,
Wow,
raw.
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I mean,
right.
like, I think that's so important to say because it gives you that upliftment feeling. But my point of that saying that we'll never feel it, like your Miser corpuscles aren't coming back. You know what I'm saying? The ridge band's not coming back. So that's kind of what I'm saying. And it's a negative outlook, but it's almost like, hey, you know, it's like when we're honest with ourselves about the damage, you know, that there is a damage, you know what I mean? And that there will always be a damage. That should give us the impetus to change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To change it for the next generation. If nothing else, if I can live through this to help somebody else to not have to live through it, to me, that's very powerful for my life. Like it makes me feel like I'm succeeding in life, you know, at what I want to do or what I want to, the legacy I want to leave for the world. You know what I'm saying? So, wow, Chuck had to leave too. We're kind of dwindling down, but I'm so sorry. I apologize to both of you about not starting the recording. I'm just like, I need somebody to like be like, hey Dan, did you start the recording? Okay, good. Okay, you know what I mean? Like I need like a there's just so many things going on, and I have like all these, you know, it's like running this campaign and doing these writing. It's just a lot, and so anyways. I apologize about that, but the when I started recording, we have some great, fantastic stuff, and I think we're going to share this just because of that, because I think the message is so important. And Dan, your input on that was one of the most positive messages for pro Intactivism success. That I mean, just you know, having the good news of us getting these 4 articles printed, and then you know hearing about this really tangible. This whole thing of these people overseas that are really care that much, that even though this is not really literally part of their culture, that they're really literally going to bat for us, which is kind of what they're doing, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if this is really going to influence how much they're doing this just for the people in their culture, or are they really doing it to get other people in other cultures to give them the strength to do what needs to be done. I think that's a big part of it too. So it's just a fantastic, great news to hear that we have so much influence and power on the front lines in Europe, and you know, that's just fantastic to hear that, you know, and then also our successes with the NLI. You know, I hope to get, you know, 10, 15, maybe, you know, 10, 12, 15 articles printed this time. And I'm hoping, Luke said that Fox 66 had came by and took pictures. So I'm expecting at least another couple articles. I heard there's another news agency that's not yet printed yet, that I've been Googling them almost like OCD or something. But yeah, they haven't popped up yet, but hopefully that'll come soon. But anyways, I'm going to let it go. We should do this again real soon. Are you guys interested in doing this again soon?
We do it every week, don't we?
Yeah, we do it every week, but I'm just saying, like, I'd like to have Dan and Tina back. I know you guys are super busy, you got a lot of things going on or whatever, but I'd love to have you back again and just kind of have you contributing, because the value of all this insight from, you know, the Intactivists that have been like literally doing this for years and years and years is so important for us to understand where we're going, what we're going through, and what we're kind of up against, and really kind of help us to not make the same mistakes twice, or gives us guidance on how to make better choices with our Intactivism, so that, you know, we can be, you know, not repeating the same mistakes of the past, basically. So it's really good to hear. You know, it really helps us to know, to give us ideas on where we can focus our own Intactivism. And I think really, literally, everyone that's on here is you're taking the time out of your day, your life, to do this. And I think that's, you know, this is Intactivism right here. We're going to share this on YouTube, and people are going to watch it, hopefully. And whoever watches it. But it's also going to keep us sharp and focused, and dedicated. And I've noticed these meetings just give us the drive, I think, that the glue that keep us together a little bit, so it's that's why I kind of really debated doing these talks again. And then I realized, like, I think it's so much that comes from these for the volunteers who see, like, to see this stuff, right? To see, hey, all these databases that I've been helping to gather, I have an article printed because of this, you know what I mean? It's just fantastic, and it just makes you feel great. Anyways, does anybody have anything they wanted to say, contribute?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Dan or Tina?
Yeah, those people
go ahead,
that
Scott.
Dan was talking about, can he get them on these discussions?
Who's that?
Well, any of them.
Who? What did you say? I missed your.
The people that he mentioned.
Who's he? I missed the whole thing. I'm sorry.
Dan.
Dan, how do I say your last name?
Yeah.
Any way you want.
Strandjord?
I say Strandjord like it's an English word, but that's not how it's pronounced in Norway.
Okay. You want to hear something funny? I met this Danish guy. I'm sorry, Scott, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. I met this Danish guy, and he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Daniel Rold. He's like, it's not Rold, it's Rold. And I was like, for 40 years, I've been saying my own name wrong. I mean, like, what? So it took a Danish man to tell me how to say my own name. Isn't that funny? But it's not Rold, it's Rold. I'm sorry, Scott, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Can we get his the people he mentioned that were
like if you have other people that you guys want to, Dan, if you want to bring some friends or something to the any Intactivist friends, I mean that goes for everybody, of course. And I don't expect I really understand how this is kind of a lonely game sometimes, that it's really hard to get 15, 20 people to consistently show up. You know what I mean? And we all have lives, and I tell people, like, I don't want this to be a pressure on your life. I want it to be fun. I want you to look forward to this. I don't want it to be like, oh, I got to go do this meeting again just because I'm involved in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be like that. Like, I want it to be like, hey, uplifting and fun and entertaining and educational most, and uplifting in the fact that we're doing positive things, taking positive steps. We're being proactive. We're not just sitting. We're thinking intelligently. We're making plans. We're coming together and we're organizing, which I think is so powerful for Intactivism itself. That's one of the things I've noticed that is that there's actually almost a continuous need for that organization, because you have certain sects and groups, and like there really is this sect and group of Intactivists that Tina and Dan come from, and they've all got their own things going on, right? And so, but if you can grab any of those people, bring them to us. I would love to have Marilyn Milos on here sometime, or Brother K, or anybody on here. I'd love to have anybody that wants to, and I talked about doing an interview with Sarah. Maybe Lee's not on here, but I don't know if I've actually asked Lee if she wanted to do it. I think I did maybe ask Bentley if she wants to do one. And like, Scott, you can do one. Like, we could do it. Everyone could do an interview, right?
Could get some of the reporters that you've talked to come here, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Arnell, what's
Wouldn't
up?
That be pretty good?
Hi there. I've been listening to you guys. I came in late.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't say hello when you came in, but I wanted to say thank you for joining us.
You've been a pleasure.
You've been here for a while.
Yes. I came in. I joined in at 7:15, but I was up and about running here then because I was late. I came in here late from work. So anyway.
Oh, no
but
worries.
Yeah, since you brought my person up, I do have a question.
Yes.
I missed out on Soros. Could someone explain in 1 or 2 sentences what this is about, Soros?
Ooh, let me just pull the image up, because nobody can do the justice. And I'll let Tina describe it while I'm doing this. Do you want to tell them, Tina?
Sure. It's a study of the sensitivity of basically of intact and circumcised men. We used a tool that was invented a couple hundred years ago to test the sensitivity of people with diabetes that they, when your blood sugars get out of whack, you lose nerves in your fingers and toes, and they kept track of that with this, with this tool. So we use this very simple, very safe tool. Every one of these spots, you see they're named places, are places where we tested so it's a scale, 1 to 10. What does he have there? It's something like 1 to 10 for each of these spots on various penises. You know, about half were circumcised and half were intact. And in the original pilot study that I was more involved in, some were also restoring. And then wrote all that down, put it into a computer. There were about, do you know, Dan, it was like 209 guys altogether, and something like that.
It was like 160
I think
from what I remember, but I don't that's what I remember.
How many?
I remember something like 160 in each group.
Okay. So,
like 300 or something.
Yeah, and each of them had about 20 spots. So, you know, that's enough data to see a powerful effect. But you know, before you even start, there's going to be a powerful effect. How much sensitivity is there in the foreskin of the guy with no foreskin? Guess what? It's a 0.
Right.
But so it was, you know, kind of a no-brainer from the beginning, but that's what science wants, you know, to see that written down. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like I say, the foreskin-shaped hole in the head of all these doctors and scientists who go, oh, really? Gee, there's sensitivity in the foreskin, and if it's cut off, there's no sensitivity there. Gee, what a concept!
Is this also the cancer study?
Oh, that's completely different and very interesting, powerful study. But that's a totally different thing. Anyway, this is oral. Yeah. So if that's what you were interested in, this is
I had no idea about this. It's really great to come in here and learn about this tonight.
No, I'm glad to have you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's
but
great.
Yeah, as you see, it's sort of self-evident. One would think this, but
yeah, right. Self-evident. That's a really good term.
And there's one other point I wanted to mention when you were talking about being guilty and stuff like that. I remember one day I was working outside with one of my colleagues, and the radio was on, and there was this guy who was blabbing and braying about you know, he remembered being genitally mutilated. He doesn't remember anything about being genitally mutilated. He doesn't know why these people, these so-called intactivists, have such a grievance and blah blah blah. And he issued a challenge on the radio. I mean, if anybody out there is listening to me and wants to negate or contest what I'm saying, give me a call. Here's the number. Blah 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 blah. And I was so tempted to pick up the phone, which wasn't very far away, and actually give him a call, take some time off from work, and actually get down to business with him. But unfortunately, I backed down and I continued working with the other fellow. I said, you know what? Why don't you switch off that damned radio? It's annoying me. And that was it. So that's one thing I feel that I didn't do justice to that particular morning.
Well, what I was going to say is this: you didn't have the research. You didn't have this. You didn't have the research. I don't know how you would have done it without. I mean, you just need a little bit of what one of the things that we want to do, and we will be doing this soon as part of these meetings, is actually we're going to start them with about probably 45 minutes of just me doing a educational system about and I'm going to do them on these meetups because it motivates me and I make sure it keeps me accountable. And also it kind of helps keep me sharp and focused and that I feel like I'm teaching somebody. But anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to videotape these. We're going to put them into a series of 10 videos for all this information that you need to know to be an Intactivist. What we want to do is make sure that every Intactivist has access to these 10 videos so they can go and just watch and learn all the things they need to know about the Sorrell study, the Taylor, Cold, and Lockwood histology report, how to approach Jennifer Bozzio's study, I mean, just from the history to the anatomy to the literally, like, I really want to get into even more study myself in like taking apart the science behind the UTIs or the HPV or the cancer, and like really like going into like I did start a little bit in this is going into like Brian Morris's bullshit, you know, list of references and literally just taking them apart and then showing the intactivists, hey, look at this. This is where this study is weak. And then next time you have these conversations, you can like, you will just literally blow away any doctor out of the water. Like you'll make them look like a moron. Like no doctor will be anywhere around you and debate with this. That's my goal, because if you just have this information, then you're going to have that confidence where you're going to be like the guy calling in there. Like I've done that, right? Like I literally called into this. This was crazy to me. I called into a PhD in sexologist who knew nothing about the foreskin. She's a doctor in sexology.
Yeah.
And I got on the phone with her because I heard the ridiculous things she was saying about to somebody about the foreskin. Somebody else got on there, and I got on there, and I was like really kind of strong about it. But she let me talk, and she gave me, and she respected. She was enough to give me that talk. And I just, you know, I'm like, I didn't really like come out hard at her, but I was just like, how can you be a PhD in sexology and not even know half of the genitals of the other partner? I mean, like what? Like, I mean, how do you even like fathom that you have an education? Like, I mean, you would be an idiot if you don't know how to turn the wheel of a car and you're trying to be, you know, Mario Andretti on the track race. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't turn over the car. Like, I mean, come on, like that's how stupid this is. It's just.
Did she have an answer? What did she tell you?
What's that? Oh no, I mean, I didn't really ask her that. I just told her. I said, look, this is when I went into my spiel, it was half the surface area, 75% of the nerves. I don't use the 20% anymore because I think that's, you know, like you're gonna get bogged down in that debate. Oh, no one's ever really taken a measurement and studied this and counted it out, and that's true. So, you know, maybe that's one of the studies we need to do, right? Like, I mean, it's about being 100%. It's about being strong in your truth. Like we don't have to waver, even if it's not 20,000. What if it's 5? That's plenty. That's plenty to be pissed about. 5,000 Meissner corpuscles. I mean, goddamn, like that's enough to be pissed about, right? I mean, even if it is 5,000. But I mean, the 75% is pretty much almost undeniable. You look at this image right here, right? Where's the nerve density? Obviously, you know, it's 75% right there. You know, we got like 25% left, and then you add keratinization on top of that, on top of the 25% you have left, and then you add age, like, you know, you get into your 40s and 50s, your testosterone starts dropping, and now you don't have sensation at the same time. Your sensation's dropping. I'm like, you know, this is just common sense. This is a math problem. This is like literally 3rd grade math. Like it's so simple. It's like so basic. It's almost like stupid to have like that we have to say this. Like I feel stupid saying it. Like who am I telling this to? Right? Half the middle of your penis has sensation. Like who am I telling that to? Who's that dumb that doesn't know that? I don't know. It just blows my mind. But anyways, okay, let me get off my rant. I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. I'm so sorry about screwing up on the video. Oh God, I'm so mad about that because Dan's talk was fantastic and I really wanted that on video. Dang it. I'm so sorry.
I would like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I want to emphasize how important and how grateful I am to the women in this movement, like Tina.
Right.
I want to point out that I think that one of the reasons that the Danish and the other Nordic countries are doing this is that women there have gotten so much more equality in public life and work and stuff than in basically the rest of the world. You know, I think the first female prime minister in the West was Iceland, and stuff like that. And it is the women who are saying, yeah, we've struggled for equality. We have to struggle for equality for the boys too. They understand that this is not an us versus them. This is an everyone. If they want, if they want the equality for themselves. And so the leader of Intact Denmark is a woman. She's not Jewish. She's not Muslim. She has no, you know, cultural baggage to bring to this. She is just saying, hey, I have talked to men who are angry that this was done to them. and we protect little girls, how can we say we can't protect little boys?
Right.
And Tina has understood this type of thing for many, many years. And so have all the other women. So I just want to give all these women credit where it's really due, because they are actually listened to, in my opinion, better than a lot of the men are. Because we bring so much psychological baggage to this issue.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
That the women don't have to deal with. They can say these things in just as passionate but a way, but they are listened to better because it's not them, I think. And so that's just the way I look at it. But you know, if you, it is, you know, the head of Intact Iceland is a woman. The women, it is female doctors in Sweden who are talking about this more than male doctors.
Right.
Finland has a guy that's leading this up, but Norway has a lot of women involved in this. It is the women who are saying, you know what, we have to talk about this.
Right. Well, it's their boy,
so
it's their child that they just had that's going to be sacrificed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I really do think that women have a way of communicating that's easier for a lot of people to take in as well. You know. So yeah, it's
if I complain about being circumcised, I'm just an unhappy man for all sorts of reasons. But when a woman says, hey, you know, these guys have a problem here.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy that the resistance that you get if you claim this is, I mean, I had one of my, I'm not going to say who he was, a person in my family. He was like, why do you care? Like, why do you care? Like, seriously, you care about what? It's a snip. Why do you care? I'm like, why do I care about the most sensitive part of my genitals being ripped apart me while I was screaming in pain? That's created anger my whole life, trauma my whole life, and literally created a scar, an ugly scar, and removed the most pleasure-giving part of my body. Like, how would you not be pissed? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you stupid? Like, you know, I told her, I was like, this is my whole family. I'm like, my grandma, she was like all about math. She was fantastic. She was a math teacher. I'm like, grandma's rolling over in her grave right now at your lack of math, right? Like, I mean, you're telling me you're fine. Like, you do the math, right? Do the math. It's literally math. It's a math problem. It's third grade math problem. It's so simple, but it is what it is. All right, guys, love you guys. We'll get together soon. Let me say one thing is, I forgot to mention this, and I was going to get into this, is the next, you know what? Never mind. I was going to say the next steps is we need to make sure that we're getting, I know the Bloodstained Men are going on right now. I'm really wrapped up into outreach with that. Like, I'm going to be for the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to be doing much of anything else. But we still need to get those emails, those web forms sent out for email 3. Okay, we really need to get email 3 out. The longer we wait on that, the better, or the worse it's going to get. The longer distance between these emails, the worse off it is. So we don't want to lose that momentum, although we already kind of a little bit slightly have, but like it is what it is, right? We're going to be as good as we possibly can.
Can you, okay.
So yeah, if you are doing anything right now, what I want you doing is sending email 3. No, nobody needs to be doing what I'm doing. I mean, if you want to call and you have some time, I mean, it's going to be fantastic. Like, anybody that wants to get on here and do the phone calls with the media, I'm not hogging that whatsoever. Believe me, I will pass off the torch to anybody that wants to do that. Oh, by the way, and I will be sharing a lot of those images, or I'm sorry, those recordings very, very soon. I just have to figure a way. I'm just kind of worried about copying, recording other people, but I have to kind of edit them or something like that. But I'm going to be sharing with you guys the conversation that I've had with some of these reporters. And, you know, I'm kind of giving you the why I've went the route that I went, although even with Paul's excellent education, I still had struggles with getting the right questions out. Maybe I just need to work on that a little bit, but also I just get to this realization that this reporter needs information, and I need to give him information. And if I don't tell him basically what turned me, or what the fundamental things of psychology, the fundamental things of anatomy, the fundamental things of the history, tell him those 3 things, you know, I start right off the bat about this, how much size is lost, the the percentage of the nerves, the two most sensitive parts, the frenulum and the ridge band. Then I go into the psychological damage, or I can even talk about the mechanical function and the protection function. And then I go into the psychological damage, and I go into like how it started in the 1890s, a masturbation campaign. And you can just kind of fluctuate between those three things. And you can really just, well, that's what I was doing with the calls, because I just feel like I need to give them this information. Maybe there's better ways of doing it, but I noticed when I started doing those questions, they would kind of jump off. Like, for instance, one of the guys, I asked him, how much do you know about this? He said, oh, I know everything about it. And, you know, the funny thing is every guy I talk to pretends to know everything about it. They somehow know this miraculous information that they've never even heard about anything about. They just know so much about it. And I was like, you know, he really doesn't know so much about it. So I went ahead and still enlightened him about what he didn't know. But anyways, it's fun, and it's effective, I think. So love you guys. We're going to be sharing those next week. So next week, come back here. And if Tina, if I can get you back, we can get Dan back. You know, I'd love to have you guys again in the future. The more, the merrier. And you guys are such a breath of fresh experience and you know, knowledge and wisdom and ways that we can approach this issue. Yeah, so it's very important that we share that with the upcoming Intactivists.
So I need to ask you
this. And that's why that education program is so important, and why I think that you know, having the Intactivists that have been doing this for so many years give us that insight that you guys have been giving us. It's just so valuable. All right, guys. Scott, did you want to say something? I keep interrupting you.
Yeah, for quite a while now.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead, brother. I'm the worst host ever, but I'm giving me a break. I'm tired. So go ahead.
I still like to talk to you a little while after.
Okay.
Other video.
Well, I've got a wife to pay attention to. So, and by the way, she saved 2 baby boys. So
awesome. I'll make that conversation quick. I was saying the people who do respond to you, you get real positive responses to. Get them.
I mean, I've had some really negative responses I've been hung up on. I had
not them, the good one.
But the crazy one is the one I thought was gonna be the worst response was that lady. I called her, she was mad right off the bat. She's like, who are you? Why are you calling me? I mean, literally right off the phone. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to call and text you about this protest that's happening tomorrow. And I've been doing it a lot, so I kind of have this.
Is she a reporter?
And she listened the whole time, brother. The thing is, here's what I've noticed about them, about the reporters. The ones that are taking you in, they just shut up and listen. They will take in everything you say, which is not common to the typical Intactivism you're going to find elsewhere. And this is why I keep telling people this is different. It's unique, because these are people that are trained to listen. They're reporters, right? They don't make the story themselves. They go out and report on the story. So they have to listen in order to find out about it, right? They're trained to listen. They're trained in critical thinking. They're trained in sociology, a lot of these studies that would give you insight into understanding the cultural practices of, you know, and how these influence medicine and behavior of our population. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, these are people that have that education. So it's almost like a catch-22, because they literally can't deny you on some level without denying their own intelligence that they bought into their whole life. These people have been taught to critically question and think and logic and all that stuff, right? I mean, we don't teach it anymore. That's why we have a bunch of idiots in our society. Nobody knows how to think. You know, an appeal to authority, or red herring fallacy, or all these different fallacies, these simple, stupid flaws of logic that every student should know, literally are the common arguments you hear from doctors. Oh, I'm educated in this, you're not. What? I'm the doctor, you're not. I mean, when you have a doctor say that, you know that's a little failure of the whole entire medical science connection, right? That's literally, he just basically literally said, you know, the biggest flaw of logic there is. So it's just ludicrous. Anyways, peace out, guys. I'm out, and I will talk to you guys soon.
I'll call you right after. I'll make it a quick call.
Oh yeah, let's talk right after, Scott. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you guys. Peace out.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Dan.
Sure.
Thank you, Scott, for sticking with us. Thank you, Arnell.
Bye-bye. Yeah, right, John. Right.
And thank you, Lee, for coming. If you watch this later. Peace.
Break up the adhesions between the foreskin and the head of the penis. pediatrics, the reason we're circumcising is mainly because you feel more comfortable with a circumcised penis, especially since your other 2 children are already circumcised, right? Basically what we're doing is an elective procedure, primarily because you just feel more comfortable. In the clamp, then we clamp it.
Behind circumcisions. Hospitals and doctors can make big bucks off the procedure, especially since the foreskin doesn't always go out with the biohazard. Sometimes it's sold for a profit.
Look at the data. It looks like there are some things that it does reduce the incidence of, but there are things that are incredibly rare anyway.
There are religious, ethical, cultural, and medical reasons to circumcise. For Father Kobe Johnson, despite being circumcised himself, he decided not to circumcise his 4 boys.
The concern of, oh, I'm going to look different than my dad, or I'm going to look different than the other guys in the middle school shower, it doesn't really come up that much.
To him, medical benefits didn't outweigh the risks.